Hey, Khumo family, it's your boy Ryan Gibson here with another mini master. Thank you guys for joining us. We hope you're getting a lot out of this as we move into our pre-taped mini masters that'll give you information and affirmation, I hope, on what it takes, what you need, what you got to do to keep working in this business of entertainment. So today, the topic is the who, what, when, where, why, how of your production meeting. So you've already figured out the whole process. You've gotten the money, you figured out how long your production is going to take, you've got your schedule, you've got your script, all these things have been decided. Now it's time to sit down and have a production meeting. The question some people end up asking is, who should be at this production meeting? So we'll start with the who of it all. Who? Everybody, meaning all production leads and heads of departments. So that would be your makeup, your hair, lighting, that would be your DP, and the gaffer as well. Lead grip, you want every different department represented. Anyone that's going to be involved in your production. You don't need every single subset of those people. Like, you don't need all the grips to be there, but you definitely want your key grip there because they're going to be able to want to disseminate information to the remainder of the team if there's anything that needs to be said. Because you want to make sure that when the information is going, it's going clear down the chain of command. The whole point of this meeting is to make sure that we are giving information. We want to know, people want to know their schedules. They want to know if anything's changed. They want to know if there are going to be night shoots. Because by now, this is when this is going to be happening. Maybe even conversations about changes to the script. People might have conversations where they've read something in the script that doesn't make sense, and now they want to bring that up. So you want to make sure everyone that needs to be present to this, present. Should actors be present? Not necessarily. Unless the actor is a producer, then they may want to be there, because they may have a 2 cents in this conversation. But you're talking about producers, directors, actors, not so much. Producers, directors, all your below the line people. Writer, does the writer need to be at this? No. Almost always the writer's job is done by the time you get to your first production meeting. You don't want a writer there because oftentimes the writer's fighting for what he or she wrote on the page. So you want to offer them a thank you, a handshake, and I'll see you later. And maybe have them come to set one time just so they can see their stuff come to life. But beyond that, just let them go. Because the writer sometimes can muddy the waters. As a writer myself, I know how difficult it is to be on set and not feel like they're screwing up your story. But you want to stay out of it and let them do it. So that answers the who of it all. Who's at the production meeting? The why of it all. Why are you having a production meeting? As I said, scheduling, planning, making sure everybody's on the same page, setting up any questions, concerns, a space for that, letting everybody meet everybody else, because it may be a situation where some people are meeting for the first time. Your gaffer will probably already know your DP, but they may not know the key grip. The grip may not know who the lighting guy is, who the sound guy is. The sound engineer may not know who the editor is, and so forth and so on. And sometimes the editor, your post-production people, may have specific things that they need done in order for the footage of the day to make it to them. They may have particular procedures that they would like to put in place. All of these things must be discussed in an open forum to allow for everyone to be on the same page. So you want to make sure that you're setting up a specific situation that everyone could be there to offer their thoughts. And then you also, as the director and or producer, this is your time to ask them questions about things that are important to you in the story that they may not realize that are important. Maybe there's a costume situation and it's expensive. You want to know, have we figured out a way to work around that, have we come up with a fix to bring that cost down? Or maybe it's just going to cost what it's going to cost. Whatever it is, you need to know. Maybe there's a location conversation, and I'm going to have a deeper conversation about that in a few minutes. And actually, not a few minutes, but in the next video, we'll get into that. So you want to make sure that you're clear on all of these things so that it's all locked in. So that by the time that first meeting is done, everyone's walking away with a very clear sense of what they're doing. You don't want people walking out of your first production meeting with even more questions. You want to have answered them. So as the producer and or director of the project, you want to make sure that you've given them a clear blueprint of what's going to happen. So we did the who, we did the why, and the what, of course. What and why are we having a meeting? And to begin with, we already said, is to ensure that information is being given. How do you want to do it? You want to have it in a space where it's big enough to house everybody. So know how many people are going to be there. If you're going to have 5 people because you're doing a short film, then you don't need a huge space. If you're going to have 100 people because you have a ginormous bunch of people who are going to be involved, from special effects to makeup, special effects makeup, to all these different things, to stunt man, stunt coordinator, if all of that kind of stuff, you want to make sure that everybody is present again so that all questions can be answered. Many times, the first time people are in the room together, in terms of the heads, is when they're doing the table read. Some people don't attend the table read because it's not necessarily their thing. Some people do, so that after the table read, they'll have their first production meeting and have those conversations. Depending on what you want to do. I personally like doing a table read followed by a meeting, because then you have the project is fresh in people's minds. Questions will be fresh in people's minds. Questions about stunts, questions about space, questions about clothing, questions about special effects makeup, making sure that something on the page that may be off and doesn't line up is cleaned up. All of those things can be done. So make sure that you're taking your time when it comes to your production meeting. This is your opportunity, as I love the pre-production of it all, to ensure that you're doing things right. There's no rush. So make sure you're sitting it, plan for it to be 2 hours, beyond the time it takes for your table read, if you're doing a table read first. At minimum 2 hours, because you just don't know where the conversation might lead. I've been in many production meetings and worked with other people who've been in production meetings who've lasted 3-4 hours, because the conversation requires 3-4 hours, because you get into the technical conversation of how are we going to shoot this? If this is the crane shot, is the crane going to be able to get to this location? Are we going to be able to move that? How does this work? How does that work? You want to be in a space where you are able to answer all those questions. Or at the very least, recognize those are questions that require answers. If you don't have the answers at the time, make sure you put a star next to them, let the team know we're going to look into them, look into this, and make sure that we give you guys a very clear understanding of what, how, who, when, why, how we want to move forward with the project. Again, usually this is the time when the project, in our process, where I'll stop and ask if there are any questions. These are going to be a lot shorter now that we don't have to stop to answer questions, but I still very much want your questions. So I want you guys to continue to ask questions about everything production related, everything under production related, over production related, besides production related. And since I do have a team here in the room, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Is there anything that you guys feel like I should add that I haven't touched on, or is there a question that is popping up in any one of your heads? Because some of these guys are new to production. Anything? Anything? Excellent question. How many times do you have a production meeting? So production meetings are always dependent upon information. If something shifts that will affect the way the production is run, have a meeting. Have a meeting anytime anything changes, because you want everyone to be on the same page. There are oftentimes, there could be something as simple as we're going to have a scene where we're going to move a stunt from one place to another place. And if only the stunt people are aware, maybe the gaffers and grips or whomever don't bring the right equipment they need to support the stunt. You just don't want to leave anything to chance. So you want to make sure that any changes that will affect the way that you're going to film require a sit down or require a meeting. Even if it's a walking meeting where you pull everybody together and go, real quick guys, real quick, we're going to make a quick change. We're going to have to move locations from here to there tomorrow. We're not going to be at this location, we're going to be at that location. Here's why. And give them the information. It's all about keeping people informed. Uninformed people will cause problems. That's how accidents happen. That's how miscommunication happens, and people show up in the wrong place, or they don't bring the right equipment, or equipment is not where it should be, or if things aren't set up correctly. That's how that happens. To avoid that, over-communicate. If you feel like you haven't said it, have another meeting and say it again. Even if it's a 15-minute meeting, just make sure everyone is clear. Make sure everyone knows what's happening. Another thing that people that fail to do and need to be doing, safety meetings. Have them at the start of every project. Production meeting is to get everyone on the same page. Safety meeting is to get everybody to understand how we're going to be making sure that no one gets hurt on our project. So that's everything from where the fire extinguishers are, which is very important, where our medical team will be, or who the medic is. So that in case people don't know who the on-set medic is, if you're having an on-set medic, or where the first aid kit is, because it may not be in the same place if you're in different locations. So you want to make sure everybody knows where it exists. In case of an emergency, you don't want anyone running around trying to find it. Also, in case of a fire, where does everyone rendezvous? Where are those spaces? If there's a big fire that breaks out, where do we go? What do we do? And you just want to have those conversations. If somebody gets hurt during a stunt, you want to have a safety meeting before the stunt takes place, so that all crew knows, stay back, mind your business, let the people who know what they're doing do their job. These are all the deeper conversations you want to make sure that you're having consistently, constantly, to ensure that everyone is well informed and made to feel safe. Is there anything else on the team side that you guys feel like you're missing? Everybody's good? All right, great. Thank you, team. Appreciate you. So again, appreciate everyone who took the time out of their busy, busy day to look at what we're talking about here. Hope this information helps you on your next production meeting so that you're making sure that everyone that needs to be there is there. Also, just for fun, film it. Have somebody come in with a camera, video it. You should do both. Video it and also take some photography. I say video it because you never know. Some of the things that come up in those meetings end up being things that you may need later and you may not remember it, or somebody may have not written it down. So film it. You may use it as something that you can help you to remember to get something done that needs to be done, that gets a moment of inspiration. Or simple BTS, behind the scenes footage. So make sure you have that just to be safe. You'd be surprised how later on you're like, oh, I'm so happy we filmed that. All right, so thank you guys, and as always, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to continue to watch and support us, and we appreciate you guys so much. Continue to ask your questions, and we will create a time and a space where we will answer them. Thank you guys.